Listen to the 𝕬𝖘𝖕𝖕.
We need to talk. I think that both of us already know what's happening. And we both know that we don't work. I agree, I'm glad we thought about the same thing. It's over then. It is. I hope we can still talk without any type of grudge. No need to worry about it. I wasn't. Right. See you, then. See you. Sakusa is watching the TV, feeling uneasy. 𝖃𝖦𝖕 is sleeping on their bed, in their shared room. A slight smile appears on his face at the imagine of his sleepy boyfriend. Omi? He drags his eyes away from the screen, looking at the definition of big baby. Hi babe, good morning. 𝖃𝖦𝖕 rubs his eyes with his hands, a hint of a pout. Sakusa pats the spot beside him. Come here. You wasn't there, when I woke up. The setter rests his head on his boyfriend's shoulder, relaxing against his side. I'm sorry, Tsumo. 𝖃𝖦𝖕 just hums, not really convinced. He doesn't like to wake up alone. What do you think about a date? Kiyomi seems to have caught his attention. The pout disappears and it's changed with an happy smile. Please. 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 Yes. Yes. Sakusa looks at him with fondness in his eyes, leaving a soft kiss between his messy hair. Such a baby, aren't you? 𝖃𝖦𝖕 doesn't reply, too occupied to melt in his boyfriend's arms. Tendo is in the kitchen, cooking something to relax himself. Sometimes, his mind tricks him into nightmares and sleepless night. This is one of those night. Black bags under his eyes and tiredness on his face. Satori? He jumps at the voice of his boyfriend. Toshi, what are you doing awake? It's almost 4. Ashijima takes a few steps, closing the gap between them and dragging him into an hug. I don't like sleeping without you, you know. Tendo relaxes, Ashijima's warm body always helps him. Sorry, I was hungry. The athlete says nothing, both of them aware of the lie. What if we eat it in the morning and you come to the bed with me? His skilled fingers reaches Satori's scalp, giving some caresses. The redhead is practically purring under his touch. Can you carry me? Ashijima does, he carries him like he is a feather and doesn't leave him until both of them are laying down. You know that I love you, right? Tendo nods but the other still want him closer. I really love you, Satori. I really love you too, Wakatoshi. He murmurs on his chest, eyes suddenly too heavy. Wakatoshi kisses him on the head and on his cheek. Sleep well, you're beautiful. He whispers, softly. 𝖃𝖦𝖕 pulls his boyfriend's hand one more time, pointing to a little cafe. He can see through the shop window how many sweetness there are, cakes, biscuits, cupcakes. Everything that someone can desire. Kiyomi smiles at the childish expression on his boyfriend's face. Sorry. He whispers, almost shy, aware of the fact that he was dragging his boyfriend around the city. Why are you sorry? I dragged you around without asking if it was okay but I was too excited. Sakusa shakes his head taking a few steps. He looks around and he lowers his mask enough to leave a quick kiss on 𝖃𝖦𝖕's forehead. It's all okay. Unconsciously, you avoid people also if you were excited to be here with me. 𝖃𝖦𝖕's smile becomes huge and Kiyomi wants to smile, with him, but he feels again that sensation. A bad feeling. We didn't have a date since weeks, because of volleyball. I know, Tsumo. You don't need to explain, I know. 𝖃𝖦𝖕 just nods, more relaxed, and he is attracted by the shop one more time. We can buy something if you want, you're starting to drool. The blonde doesn't even respond to his comment, because he is too occupied to drag his boyfriend inside. Tired or not, Tendo needs to work. He gives a last look at his boyfriend, fondness and gratitude in his eyes, and leave the bed to change into work clothes. Before leaving, he takes a moment to kisses Ashijima's cheek and write a little note. It's your rest day. Don't you dare to practice. Sleep. ILY, Kokso. And then he's leaving to be at work. The little shop is half empty today, just a few couples but he really doesn't give them attention. Boss, Tendo, can you bake this for me? Yes sir. He sings song, going to the kitchen to bake new cookies and cupcakes. Back behind the counter, he almost screamed. Wakatoshi? Hi Satoru, I wanted to spend my day with you. Also if you're working. But before Tendo can speak, a familiar face is near them. Wakatoshi? And Tendo freeze on the spot. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 looks curious at his boyfriend when he turns around. He doesn't have the time to ask that he's standing up, walking toward a familiar shape. But he can't even introduce himself because Kiyomi is hugging him. Ushijima Wakatoshi. Sakusa Kiyomi, his boyfriend, is hugging someone who isn't him. He rubs his eyes, he looks around him and pinches his arm. The two of them still there, parted from the hug. Do you know him? His attention goes for a moment to the red-haired guy, he's familiar too but he doesn't care. Yes. He's Kiyomi, my ex-boyfriend. And something broke inside 𝖃𝖐𝖚 because he feels suddenly on the point to throw up. You, him. Tendo's head is spinning, the gaze going furiously from the curly-haired man and his boyfriend. Yeah. We used to date, years and years ago. Tendo looks at the guy but his attention is taken from the blonde beside him. He's shaking, hands close in fists and he looks at his own hands, he's shaking too. It's nice to see you again. We saw each other during match, Wakatoshi. But I guess. Tendo opens his mouth, he really want to ask something but he doesn't know what. He doesn't know. He just can't think or speak. You didn't tell me. And his gaze goes again towards the blonde. He didn't tell you what? I'm not talking with you. 𝖃𝖐𝖚's, now remember where he saw the duo, voice is bitter but he can hear how it cracks. 𝖃𝖐𝖚, be nice. The boy tries to hold his hand but he pulls away. Don't. Kiyomi feels the bad sensation again and it get worse when 𝖃𝖐𝖚 pulls away from his touch. He can see how hurt he is. He can understand why. It's not Ushijima, the problem. He knows but he can't say anything else. I think we should leave. Ushijima suggests, to Tendo who gives just a laugh as bitter as 𝖃𝖐𝖚's tone. No, Ushijima. You're leaving, I work here. Ushijima seems to start to understand that something is off with his red-haired boyfriend. But it's your lunch break. We can go to eat together. This time, the gaze is cold also if his entire self is shaking. I said that you're leaving. Alone. I'm not going anywhere with you. But he doesn't hear anything else, too occupied to run after his own boyfriend. 𝖃𝖐𝖚. Wait. He stops but he doesn't turn. Leave me alone. I can explain. What? That you lied to me for years? That you're the only one who can touch me was a fucking lie? He turns around, eyes filled with tears. The sentence interrupted because of a sob. I don't fucking care if you had someone before me, Sakusa. And it hurts, how his name sounds. I'm not that crazy, thanks, but you lied to me. I'm not a saint either but I fucking told you about my previous relationship. I fucking told you the truth. 𝖃𝖐𝖚. He takes a step toward him, holding his wrist but he pulls away again. Don't touch me. Don't call me, don't. I need time. Sakusa freezes, shaking his head. He feels the urge to cry, scream. To stop him. You're not my first but you've always been my only one, I've always thought you were honest. I loved you because you've never lied to me, but, this isn't a stupid lie. It has no importance, 𝖃𝖐𝖚. It was just an hug. Yes. Yes, I know but it's not that simple for you to hug people. And you know. Kiyomi can't reply, can't deny it. He knows, everyone know, but he can't let him go. You said, loved. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 tilts his head, taken by surprise. You said, I loved you because. Not I love you. Are you really doubting everything, for an hug? He can hear how both of their hearts are broken, how both of them are on the point to collapse. Because they've never argued like this, they've never had the fear to an end. Yeah, for an hug. Because I'm the drama queen that everyone knows and right now I don't know who you are. He laughs again. Shortly but it's so empty and the sobs are getting louder. See ya. Omi. Observing 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 back becoming far and far, Sakusa collapses on his knees. He doesn't care if it's on a street, he doesn't care about his fear because losing the love of his life is the scariest thing. I love you. Tsumo, don't go. Ushijima look at his boyfriend, frowning. I'm not understanding what's happening. It's happening that you need to leave, Ushijima. Now. His voice shaky, trying so hard to fight back the tears. I'm not Ushijima to you, Satoru. Yeah, well, I was your first but look who is? Him. That Sakusa guy. Ushijima takes a step near the counter and Satoru steps back. But you are my fi. Don't. Because it hurts more than be called monster. Because I trusted you, your words. Wakatoshi opens his mouth to say something else but Tendo looks at him, with teary eyes and he stays quiet. Please, leave. Please, Wakatoshi. Sakusa waits for 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕, in their house. In their bed. He waits for him all the night but he doesn't show up. And now he is in an empty house and all he can feel is guilty, frustration and pain. He looks at his phone, he have sent 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 a lot of messages and calls but none of them received response. This is how you feel when you lost the love of your life? Sakusa laughs, without a reason. He feels crazy, maybe he is, because he just start to cry again. Face into 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕's pillow and in his favorite sweater on. Please come back to me. He whispers, against the pillow. Please, please I can't lose you. And he choked a sob into the pillow, tears falling and falling leaving a void inside him. Tendo doesn't show up after work. Tendo doesn't show up for dinner. Tendo doesn't show up. And Ushijima? Ushijima is in the kitchen, looking at the food that Satoru cooked a night before. It feels like a life, it feels like forever and he feels ridiculous. He destroyed the only thing that he loved more than volleyball. He takes the phone, trying to call him again. 1, 2, 3. The bip and he registers a message. I miss you. Please come back. And the message is ended before it can register the sound of Ushijima's cry. 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 walked a lot that day. He doesn't know what to do or what to feel. He doesn't know if he had overreact or is right to feel hurted. He walks around the city, puffy eyes because of the tears and half closed because of the tiredness. How do you know what to do? You don't. A voice, behind him, make him jump on the spot. Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 turns around slowly, the hope to face Kiyomi pushed aside. It's okay. He doesn't want to look directly at him, he doesn't need pity but, somehow, he feels the urge to do it. And he finds the same gaze as his. Yeah? Is it okay? But the voice is a tiny whispers and before he knows, he's hugging a stranger. No, not a stranger, the boyfriend of his boyfriend's ex. Tendo feels a pair of arms around him. He's not Ushijima, he's not strong as him and it's just what he need now. A shoulder to cry on, someone who can understand his pain. Someone who doesn't know what he did, like him. Fuck, I'm crying on a shoulder of a stranger. And Tendo laughs, because the situation is hilarious. Mood, dude. It's 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕's time to laugh. Shortly but still sincere. They break the hug and look at each other, a little awkwardly but not so much to make them wanna leave. They absolutely don't want to go home. What if we mess around for a while? So we won't have to go home. 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 seems uncertain but nods anyway, what he has to lose. What do you propose? He clears his face with the sleeves of his jacket, trying to look decente. I was thinking about video games and manga, honestly. It's the only thing that helped me, other than cooking. 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 shrugs, the hands on his pockets. I'll follow you. It's okay. 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕𝖕 isn't used to hang out with strangers but Tendo and him are so similar, in this situation, that he feels comfortable by his side. I'm kinda good at video games, Omi always lose when he plays against me. Yeah? Wakatoshi too and he's a miracle boy, get ready. But suddenly they realized what they have just said and get distracted. It's kinda difficult not to think about them, Tendo sighs, nodding. I mean, how can you stop thinking about the love of your life when he just tear your heart apart? 𝕬𝖕𝖕𝖕 stays silent, the eyes on the game but he's not really looking at it. Tell me about you and him. 𝖃 gives him a confused expression. The goal wasn't to stop thinking about them? 𝕬𝖕𝖕 bites the inside of his cheek and leans against the machine. We don't want to think about them because it hurts, but if we don't, we will never know if it will be worth it. Listen to their explanations. Your suggestion is, then, to remember why we love them and decide if they can have another possibility? 𝕬𝖕𝖕 nods slowly, he can taste his own blood. I was too hurted on the moment to think, I still am. He's in the wrong. He is, as much as Wakatoshi. But, is it so bad that he can't make me trust him again? I don't know what to think, again. So, you propose to talk about them? Yeah. They're in silence for a moment, analyzing the conversation. Fine. Wanna hear me first? Yes. Tell me why you fell in love with him. 𝖃 doesn't know where to start. He just thinks about the moments in high school, the way he never judged him. He talks about the time they used to read manga together, the way Wakatoshi took care of him when he was sick. He remembered the first time he felt the stupid butterflies. I just saw him wait for me, after practice. He was so awkward, trust me, but he still waited and asked me if my fingers hurted. He remembers the way he took his hands and kisses every single finger, one by one. He didn't leave my hand, since that day. He hold my hand every time he can, I think he has a kink or something. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 laughs along with him. And he still takes care of me and, yes, my hands. He kisses all the fingers before falling asleep and he whispers 10 reasons why he fell for me. He suddenly feels his throat hurting, the tears forming in his eyes. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 pull him into an hug, passing his hands on his back in silence. It's so stupid to feel so betrayed. So hurted because he said nothing? Because he said I was his first. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 stays in silence again, because he knows that 𝖃 doesn't really want an answer. You should talk with him. 𝖃 looks at his fingers, when they parted, and moves them slightly. He takes the hand in front of his face, feeling a rising warmth in his chest. Then, he looks at 𝕬𝖕𝖕. Tell me about him. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 talks about the first time he saw him, at training camp. He was pretty, sure, but the reason why he couldn't stop to look at him was for his talent. And for the mask, of course. The first time I saw him spike, I stopped breathing, but I was young and I didn't put so much thoughts in it. 𝖃 listen when 𝕬𝖕𝖕 tells him about his first, and only, ex. It doesn't last so much. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 was the one really into him and 𝖃 just agreed because he wanted to give him a possibility also if he was in love with someone. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 never hated him, for that. It was just a crush, and when 𝖃 and Eren became a couple he was truly happy. When years ago I saw him again, on the court, I started to remember the first time I saw him spike. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 feels goosebumps at the thought of their real first meeting, the first time when they spoke to each other. And if I didn't fell for him in a second, it because he was an asshole. 𝖃 can't hold back a laugh and 𝕬𝖕𝖕 follows him. Talking about Omi, in a situation like this, hurts but it feels also good. He loves every moment spent with him. And what changed? 𝕬𝖕𝖕 smiles at the question. Everything. He was an asshole, I was an asshole. The way we argued, though, was our own way to fall in love with the other. The jokes to hide the worry, the comments to have each other attention. You really love him, don't you? Yeah. I can't imagine myself without him. He dry a tear with his sleeve. He's the love of my life and he will always be. He's the one. You know what you should do, right? And 𝕬𝖕𝖕 nods, he knows but he's still not ready to open that topic. Kiyomi hears the door opening in the early morning. He jumps out of the bed, puffy eyes and bags under his eyes. It was a really restless night. 𝕬𝖕𝖕 is looking at him, in their living room. The clothes of the previous day. 𝕬𝖕𝖕. He takes a step but 𝕬𝖕𝖕 shakes his head. He observes how he closes the door, behind him. He observes his actions, in absolute silence. Sit down with me. Kiyomi gulps but he does, he sits near him. On the couch. The silence isn't totally awkward but the tension is absolutely in the room and makes Sakuatsu's heart beating faster. I'll listen to what you wanted to say. I'll listen to your story. Kiyomi knows what it means. He's giving him a possibility to be completely honest and to try to rebuild the trust. He's giving him a possibility to heal his wounds. Okay. Thank you. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 doesn't reply, he can feel and see how tense he is. And he starts his story. Wakatoshi is in the kitchen when Tendu enters the house. He let the mug fall from his hands and opens his arms, waiting for Tendu to hug him, but he doesn't. Ushijima swallows the disappointment. He doesn't have the right to feel like this. Not now. Satoru takes a seat on the kitchen's chair, waiting for him to do the same. I'll let you speak. Will you listen to me? Ushijima watches him, nods, probably repressing a sarcastic comment. Tell me the truth, I'll listen. And Ushijima starts to speak. He starts to narrate the truth, the story, and how it ended. And why didn't you tell me? He looks at his boyfriend biting his bottom lips, hands in the hair pulling them slightly. I was afraid? Probably. It's true that I've always seen you as a safe place and always let you touch me because I want your touch. But you hugged him. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 doesn't even try to cover the hurt in his voice. I did, because I used to date him and he helped me with physical contact. I've never seen him as a safe place, I've never really needed to touch him, but he helped a little. What does it have to do with the hug? I was thanking him, to be a little more open. Enough to let you give me high five during matches. That's it? Sakusa nods, too fast. It's not because of him that I touch you, I touch because I trust you, but in a minimum part he did something. Nothing compares to you, but he did. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 sighs, putting his head in his hands. He's tired and he needs to elaborate all of this information. You should sleep. Yeah. But he doesn't move, he takes just a few breaths before looking at Sakusa. Come with me. He takes his hand, walking to their room and laying down together. Kiyomi is rigid, beside him, and 𝖃𝖐𝖚 leave a small kiss on his chest. I didn't forgive you, but I love you and know you, I know you can make me stay. You can make me trust you again. He feels his eyelids becoming heavy and Sakusa's arms around him. I'll show you how much I care, I promise. 𝖃𝖐𝖚 just hums. He raises his head, then, asking silently for a kiss. Kiyomi kisses him, softly. He kisses him like he's singing a lullaby, like he's protecting him from everyone. Including himself. And also, if it's not over, it's not resolved, they can go through this. Together. I love you, 𝖬𝖚. Love you too, big dickhead. And he let himself fall asleep on his chest, in his arms. He let himself fall asleep on top of the only one who can make him feel alive. In the bad and good meaning. And we just agreed to end what we had. Why you didn't tell me? He listens to Ushijima carefully, without missing a piece. Because it doesn't matter. Tendu stays silent, just observing him. Hands interlocked, under his chin, when he hears Ushijima sighs. Satoru, I said that you are my first because you are. It doesn't matter if I had a thing with someone, before. He raises an eyebrow, not really convinced. It doesn't matter because it doesn't mean that he was important enough to be called a first. We never loved each other, I've never loved someone before you and I'll never love someone else. Satoru leaves his seat to go near Ushijima, who's now holding his breath. It hurted so bad, Toshi. Ushijima finally hugs him, tracing his back with his hands. Holding him closer. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I should had told you before. Shut up. He whispers, feeling on the point to cry again. Feeling stupid because he's about to cry. Kiss me, okay? Please. And Ushijima kisses him. He kisses him like he never does, he kisses him with all his own and Tendu melts in his arms. Like the first time but not the last.